The cardboard box in his hands was almost full before anyone realized he had taken the CEO's words seriously. The office that had always echoed with keyboards, ringing phones, and hurried footsteps suddenly became so quiet that even the air seemed frozen. Every employee stared as the single father calmly removed the frame drawing his little daughter had made with bright crayons, folded the worn sweater she had secretly placed in his bag for good luck, and zipped it inside without looking back. Only a few minutes earlier, the CEO had pointed toward the door and declared that if he couldn't follow orders, he could quit. No one expected him to choose his dignity over the paycheck that kept his family alive. Yet there he was, standing taller than anyone in the room despite carrying the weight of the entire world on his shoulders. Before we continue this unforgettable journey, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who believes in kindness and second chances, and subscribe to Lifeline Tales. Your support helps us bring more emotional stories that remind us hope is never truly lost. Owen Mercer had never imagined that his greatest battle would not be against poverty or loneliness but against the impossible choice between being a devoted father and an obedient employee. 3 years earlier, his wife had passed away after a sudden illness, leaving him alone to raise his 7-year-old son, Noah. Every morning before sunrise, Owen prepared breakfast, packed lunches, braided together the small routines that held their fragile world together, and rushed Noah to school before driving to the towering headquarters of Sterling Innovations. His life followed a strict rhythm that left little room for mistakes, yet every exhausting day ended with Noah waiting by the apartment window, smiling as though his father were the greatest hero alive. At work, Owen never complained. He stayed late whenever he could, solved problems others avoided, and quietly became one of the company's most dependable project managers. His co-workers admired him, although few truly understood the sacrifices hidden behind his calm smile. They never saw him washing school uniforms at midnight or reading bedtime stories while fighting to keep his own eyes open. They only saw the employee who somehow managed to deliver exceptional results despite carrying responsibilities that would overwhelm most people. Everything changed when the company's founder retired and handed control to a new CEO named Victor Ashford. Victor believed success came only through relentless discipline and absolute obedience. Efficiency mattered more than compassion. Numbers mattered more than people. Within weeks, employees stopped laughing during lunch breaks, overtime became mandatory, and every request for personal leave was viewed as weakness. Fear slowly replaced loyalty, and the office transformed into a place where everyone measured every word before speaking. Owen tried to adapt. He arrived earlier, worked harder, and accepted impossible deadlines without protest. Yet life outside the office refused to become easier. Noah's school announced an important daytime ceremony honoring students who had overcome personal hardships. Noah had been chosen to receive an award for courage after writing about losing his mother and how his father had become both parents at once. The invitation requested that a parent attend because each child would walk onto the stage holding their parent's hand. For Noah, it was the most important day of his young life. For Owen, missing it was unthinkable. Days before the ceremony, Owen respectfully requested 2 hours away from work. He promised to complete every assignment before leaving and return immediately afterward. His department manager quietly supported the request, knowing Owen's extraordinary dedication. Unfortunately, the final approval rested with Victor Ashford. The CEO barely glanced at the paperwork before rejecting it. He reminded Owen that a major client presentation was scheduled that afternoon and insisted the company came before personal matters. Owen explained as calmly as possible that he had never asked for special treatment before and that this single event meant everything to his son. Victor remained unmoved. His cold reply spread across the office like an icy wind. Employees lowered their eyes, pretending not to hear as he declared that everyone had choices. If Owen wanted to be a father during company hours, he could quit. The word struck like thunder, but Owen's face revealed nothing except quiet disappointment. He stood silently for several moments before returning to his desk. Some assumed he had surrendered. Others believed he would apologize. Instead, he began packing. His co-workers watched in disbelief as family photographs, notebooks, and personal belongings disappeared into a single cardboard box. One by one, employees stopped working. The silence became almost unbearable. Nobody had ever challenged Victor before, especially not someone who depended so desperately on the income. Without raising his voice or showing anger, Owen submitted his company badge, thanked the colleagues who had stood beside him through difficult years, and walked toward the elevator. Before the doors closed, he simply smiled. It was not the smile of a defeated man. It was the peaceful smile of someone who had finally chosen what truly mattered. That afternoon, Noah walked onto the school stage holding his father's hand. Tears filled the audience as the young boy proudly introduced Owen as the person who taught him that love was stronger than sadness. Owen clapped louder than anyone when Noah received his medal, and for the first time in months, neither of them thought about deadlines or office politics. They only remembered what happiness felt like. Back at Sterling Innovations, however, something unexpected began happening. The client presentation collapsed. Owen had quietly handled dozens of invisible responsibilities that nobody else fully understood. Critical reports were incomplete, technical issues multiplied, and confusion spread across departments. Victor blamed managers, managers blamed employees, and everyone realized the company had relied far more heavily on Owen than anyone had admitted. Over the following weeks, news of Owen's resignation quietly spread beyond the company walls. Former colleagues shared the story with friends, clients, and business partners. It was never presented as an act of rebellion but as the heartbreaking decision of a father who refused to abandon his child during the moment he was needed most. Many people admired his courage. Others began questioning whether businesses had forgotten that employees were human beings before they were workers. Finding another job proved difficult. Owen's savings disappeared faster than expected, and he worried constantly about rent and groceries. Yet he never allowed Noah to see his fear. They spent evenings playing board games borrowed from the local library, cooking simple meals together, and walking through the neighborhood park where Noah collected colorful leaves for school projects. Those quiet moments reminded Owen that wealth was measured in memories, not possessions. One rainy afternoon, while volunteering at a community center helping teenagers learn computer skills, Owen met an elderly businessman named Arthur Langley. Arthur watched him patiently explain difficult concepts with kindness and respect, noticing how every student left believing they were capable of achieving more than they had imagined. Curious about Owen's background, Arthur invited him for coffee after the class ended. As Owen shared his journey, he never criticized his former employer. He simply explained that some decisions in life could not be measured by profit. Arthur listened carefully, recognizing something rare in the exhausted single father sitting across the table. Integrity could not be taught. Compassion could not be purchased. Leadership built on character always outlasted leadership built on fear. Weeks later, Arthur revealed that he chaired the board of a growing technology company searching for a new director of operations. The position required intelligence, resilience, and empathy more than impressive titles. Owen accepted the opportunity with gratitude, promising only to work honestly and treat people with dignity. His leadership transformed the company. Flexible schedules allowed parents to attend school events. Employees received support during family emergencies instead of punishment. Productivity unexpectedly increased because people finally felt respected. Staff turnover dropped dramatically, innovation flourished, and clients noticed the positive culture almost immediately. Meanwhile, Sterling Innovations struggled. Talented employees continued leaving, customer satisfaction declined, and investors questioned the company's direction. Eventually, the board launched an internal review that exposed years of declining morale under Victor's leadership. Financial reports revealed that replacing loyal employees had become far more expensive than supporting them. One morning, months after Owen had packed that simple cardboard box, an unexpected invitation arrived requesting a meeting with Sterling's board of directors. Curious but cautious, Owen accepted. Walking through the familiar lobby stirred painful memories, yet he noticed something different. The fearful atmosphere had disappeared. Employees greeted one another again. Smiles slowly returned to faces that once looked permanently exhausted. Inside the boardroom, directors thanked Owen for coming and acknowledged that his resignation had become a turning point for the company. They admitted they had overlooked the importance of compassion in leadership and confessed that the organization had paid a heavy price for ignoring humanity. Victor Ashford was no longer CEO. The board offered Owen an executive leadership role with complete authority to rebuild workplace culture. The salary exceeded anything he had earned before, but Owen hesitated. He no longer chased impressive titles. He had discovered that true success meant returning home each evening with both dignity and peace. After careful thought, Owen accepted on one condition. Every employee would have access to family leave without fear of punishment, managers would receive leadership training centered on empathy, and company policies would recognize that people perform their best when treated with respect. The board unanimously agreed. Months later, Sterling Innovations became known not only for outstanding business performance but also for becoming one of the most family-friendly workplaces in the region. Newspapers highlighted its remarkable transformation, yet few articles fully captured the quiet courage that had started everything. The revolution had not begun with protests or speeches. It had begun with a father placing his daughter's drawing into a cardboard box and walking away from fear. Noah often visited the office after school. Employees smiled whenever he entered because they knew the little boy represented something far greater than childhood innocence. He reminded everyone why they worked so hard in the first place. Owen's office displayed the same crayon drawing he had carried out months earlier. It remained slightly bent along one corner, but he never replaced it because that tiny crease reminded him of the day he chose love over pride and purpose over fear. If this story has touched your heart so far, please take a moment to like this video, share it with your family and friends, leave a comment, and subscribe to Lifeline Tales so more inspiring stories can reach people who need hope today.